So I'm talking to a client, and I really want this podcast name for the client. And they may go for it, they may not. They may value the strategy and be like, this is awesome, I want to do this. And they may say, you know what, it's not for me. Beyond the Goal would be a podcast about talking to athletes and musicians, people who are on a fast track to superstardom, and their mindset, and they've got their legacy after they retire from said sport of what they want to do beyond that. And so this goes in hand with the mindset of begin with the end in mind, or as I say, begin with the vision in mind. And when we can get in the hearts and minds of these individuals early, one, there's a massive entertainment value of working with that type of an audience, and two, in addition to that, they they have drive to complete their legacies in many respects, and we get to make this awesome transition too for the ones who aren't thinking ahead. It gives them the opportunity to start thinking ahead, so we begin to influence the world in a way that to me is just super inspiring and adds to my own legacy. So I noticed that there's a podcast already Beyond the Goal, but I also noticed 2 subscribers, right? So and beyond that, Beyond the Goals BBC, that's Beyond the Goals, Beyond the Goal Post, and then there's this book that exists out there too. But I don't worry too much about these potential legal constraints. I'm not a lawyer, and I'll take the hand slap. If I can make $1 million and I have to pay somebody 20,000, then I'm going to make the $1 million. But I also know how to go about being strategically authentic and kind, and trying to work with these individuals, because there's always an opportunity to work together if we want to see it. So here it is. So I went and looked. Beyond the Goal, 2 subscribers. He's had the channel. He launched it 1 year ago, and I did the same thing years ago when I was launching my channels. I wasn't quite ready. In fact, I had this thing called Family Trip Fund, and I ended up shutting it down. If somebody wants the entity and they want to talk to me about it, I would be willing to. So this guy's playing for Sydney FC, and as a left back. And so I'm like, cool, there's even more opportunity. He looks very friendly. And so what do we do in this situation? I look him up, and okay, he's actually got a wiki about him. So, he's taking his football career quite seriously. He's got a normal amount of followers, 2,000 on Instagram. So, he's not crushing it as an influencer right now. I wonder if he has some YouTube videos of his soccer, but I don't want to dive too deep into that. The main opportunity though here is to talk to him and see if he supports us in carrying the torch of the name in order to limit any potential future liabilities with him. Let's get ahead of it now, and make a friend, see what he plans on doing with it, and asking him, is it okay if we do this? We don't technically need his permission. But by doing so, I also gain an international fan that would become an ambassador to the program, much like a high school Letterman jacket person that wears their high school Letterman from their glory football days and talks all about their high school. In this case, his glory podcasting days would be, oh, I started that podcast. I originally had that name. They called and asked me if I could have the name, and they offered X, Y, or Z. In this case, again, there's an opportunity to offer. And what am I going to offer? In my case, it's going to be offering him the ability to come to me for business counsel at any time. He's welcome to do so. He's going to have ambitions and things. Maybe he has a business already, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he takes me up on that. Worst case scenario, he takes me up on that and he calls me every single day of my life. Well, if that happens, I know how to make conversations productive, and I would only let that happen if he was a profitable producer. Otherwise, I would set a healthy boundary and say, hey, Connor, we can't talk sports anymore. We need to talk business. Here's the metrics that I need. Do you have them? No, you don't? Okay, we'll go get the metrics. Call me back tomorrow, and I will talk to you if you have the metrics, right? It's all about setting healthy constraints and being productive with our opportunities at hand. And I know how to do that very, very well from a business standpoint. So what that does is it liberates me to make sure that if I'm offering limited support to a client, I'm doing so under the constraints of productivity that drive profitability for my brand and business. Now, again, worst case scenario actually becomes my best case scenario, because if he becomes a multimillionaire through counsel with me and talking to others, he's also going to become a raving fan supporter. And I'll be able to say, I've been working with Connor O'Toole for the last 10 years when he had 27 views on his YouTube channel, where he had one video for a year and only 2 subscribers and hadn't done anything with it. I've been with him since the beginning. So if you look at the long-term capacities of the law of the harvest, of setting up a vineyard and what it can become, and you don't get addicted to the original scenarios that you're presented with and thinking short-term, if you think long-term about these possibilities and realities, the opportunities are usually amazingly abundant. So that's the strategic plan, is to make sure that we have his respect and the opportunity of exploring the brand. That's if this entity wants to use this as a podcast opportunity. If not, maybe somebody else will want to move forward with this. But then there's this this person who wrote this book. I'll look them up too, see what we can do to make sure that they understand that we respect their what they're up to. And look at this, the foundations of business strategy. They're either going to see me as a complete threat and an axe murderer of businesses, and I'm stealing their thunder, or they're more likely to see me as a potential strategic partner that can work together with them on building, because I have an aura of saying, hey, we can find win-wins. I'm open to your ideas. I also have my own. Let's do this together. So there's a lot of opportunity when you look at life that way. And we will, if you have any questions for me about this process or other strategies related to business and growth and beyond that, or why these types of elements could be helpful, I recommend 2 things. 1, always you can reach out to us. 2, I would 100% go watch our Power Launch webinar and learn more about what it is we're doing. If we've moved on from the Power Launch webinar, which I don't see us doing for a few years, whatever resource is in place, the reason why the resource would be in place for First Class Business or for visionproslive.com is because we know it's the best asset and resource to educate and inspire the individuals that we want to work with to move their brands forward. So if you found this video helpful, like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.